Hello and welcome to another Trans Trust Consulting video. This video is going to be on a topic I've talked about a bunch. It's all about the airport. And the reason I'm talking about it is because it's holiday season. A lot of us are traveling, and I just got back from New York, and during my trip I was reminded of all of the things that can cause anxiety for someone who's transgender, non-conforming, non-binary, going through an airport during that travel process. And I wanted to speak on maybe how loved ones can be supportive, as well as businesses such as the airlines and TSA. So when I first started transitioning, going to the airport was absolutely terrifying. Full on terrifying, because primarily I was packing. Meaning, for those who don't know what that means, when you pack, it's when you're using something to emulate a bulge in your pants. So it can be a prosthetic phallus or any number of ways to make that bulge apparent. So I was packing all the time, practically sleeping in my packer. And so going through TSA, that concept of even going through TSA, especially with that, and going through security and sometimes having things pick up and others not, and then they pat you down. I mean, there's a lot to worry about. And then bathrooms, right? There's public restrooms. Not all airports are stocked with gender neutral bathrooms, particularly when I first started transitioning. And there's a lot of freak out and trauma that can happen around that, right? Because you don't necessarily want to be clocked, meaning that someone realizes that you're trans and potentially would want to do you harm or have a problem with you being in the restroom and making an issue of it. There's a lot of different things that could happen, and these possibilities can create a lot of fear to going to the airport. And so this was something that definitely sunk in for me. I remember distinctly how terrified I was the first time I went into the airport. And admittedly now, especially that I pass, which means that I look, society looks at me and says, you look like the gender that you're trying to present. So my presentation is masculine, is male. I don't focus heavily on whether someone is seeing me as male, but when someone looks at me, that is within our society stereotypically, especially with facial hair, I look male. And so, you know, if someone were to think that I wasn't and make a whole fuss of it, particularly when I first started transitioning and I wasn't passing, right? I was going into the men's restroom and things could have been read any number of ways. So again, a lot of anxiety. I think I've painted a clear picture there. So what can be done for supporting? If you are a loved one and you are going to travel with someone who matters to you, whether it's your child, whether it's your partner, whatever it may be, you're traveling, ask them firstly what you can do to make them feel more comfortable. Sometimes them just traveling and them being any of us, even for myself, when I'm traveling with other people, I'm more comfortable in doing that. But it's helpful to sometimes have a bathroom buddy, someone to stand outside of the stall and make sure that everything is going to be okay, that everyone is safe. Having someone to just keep me grounded, that can be a really useful thing. Just being there, ask the person directly what it is that they need, especially if they bring these fears up to you. Make sure that you really have your listening ears, because what you think might be helpful, it might be different for someone else. For companies like airlines and TSA, if you could get sensitivity training and really understand more of the fears that we're experiencing and how we might be able to work together so we can make this a more positive experience. No one should feel scared going through an airport, and yet it is a very scary place. It's public. We know that a lot of acts of things like terrorism happen there, but ultimately we're human beings all trying to get from point A to point B, and we all want to be safe doing that. And in order to make sure that trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people feel safe, we need to make sure there are measures going on at the airport and in our support systems. So if there's anything that you have a question on, especially if you are a parent or a business, I recommend that you check out our website, www.transtrusted.com. You can go to the services tab, click on that, and you'll see all sorts of groups that we have, different courses, different presentations for businesses, parents, so that way you can make sure you're being as supportive as possible. We can work together. And if you are trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, and you're traveling this season, please remember that you have an absolute right to be there, and whatever fears you are experiencing are valid, they are real. But know that there are ways to travel safely. Just make sure you have your precautions and try to calm yourself, read some affirmations before you go. Talk to your loved ones or people that you're traveling with and let them know how you're feeling so that they can support you, because this should be something that should go smooth and comfortable and safe, just like anyone else. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.